Bam! Welcome to another episode of Mike Sports. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by my co host, Landry. Landry, how are you tonight?
I've been better, but I have to be here for the first show of August, obviously.
Yeah, man.
It's
It's,
August.
it's August. Football is here, man. We have a game tomorrow night. There's a preseason game tomorrow night involving your Cowboys
And we
against the
got Hard
Pittsburgh
Knocks
Steelers.
on Tuesday.
Yes, looking forward to that.
Yep.
Um, Definitely very excited. Lots to go over as we haven't been able to do an episode the last couple of weeks because you were near death last week, and thankfully it seems like you're making a recovery, and we're all encouraged by that. The fan mail that I got for that was overwhelming,
Sure, yeah.
and
Yeah, I got lots of fan mail, and I basically just sent particles from the African dust storm that hit. That pretty much killed me.
well, see, I got an envelope, and but it was originally marked. It looked like it was marked for Emmett Smith, and someone crossed it out and wrote Jay Landry. But I kept the $11, so I figured that's what you would
Okay.
want.
Yeah, I know we knew that. Like that was all set up.
Yeah.
There's a if you look underneath it, you have to have that invisible marker that brings it
Mhm.
up, and it says, "Let's see if Eric is a good friend." When you highlight it.
Wait, that was a question? You
Yeah.
know I'm not a good friend. I'm gonna take that money.
Okay. Okay.
I still remember it was you that told me about that great friend test. Leave $20 on your counter,
Yeah.
and you walk away. Make sure your friend's in there. That $20 is still there. He's a good true
Yeah.
friend.
I call. Yeah. It only costs $20 to find out if you got a good friend.
Yep. And
You
hey,
know,
that's a good
some
test.
might go, "Oh, it's not worth it." A five, they might be like, "Oh, he may not notice." But if a 20 is willing to go, that's a pretty good chunk of change to take from a friend and knowing late to me. That's a good test.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good
Yeah. By
test.
the way, I owe you $20 from like 10 years ago.
Definitely do, you jerk.
Yeah,
Well, now only 9 because I took the 11.
definitely.
So, first off, let's get into some of the Aaron Rodgers talk because you and I had him written off out of Green Bay. He was going elsewhere. He is not going anywhere. He is staying. They voided the last year of his deal, the 2023 season, and have basically handshaken a wink wink that they were going to try to trade him after this season. And which, I mean, to me shows one, what we talked about, it wasn't really about the money because he turned down a contract to be the highest paid player in the history of sports.
Right.
Um, and so now with this, he gets a chance to, after the season, he gets to have the Michael Jordan and the Tom Brady if he wants. He can have the last dance with the Green Bay Packers, and then he can go be, Tom Brady and write his own ending somewhere else.
Yeah, and the question's going to be, I think, for a lot of people is, what if Green Bay had drafted someone that he actually wanted? Would this have
Mhm.
ever become an issue? It may have just been a complaint, but he would have been at practice and ready to go still. Let's say they got one person he wanted, but let's say everybody else's defense. He might go, look, next year we need to do more. Like we need to work together better. But at least you guys made a move towards my direction. Now it's also going to make people wonder if at the end of the season they promise him we will draft nothing but offensive players for you. Would he want to stay in Green Bay? We'll see.
But yeah, and it's funny. It kind of looks like they're set up to have the same saga again next year. And look, at the end of the day, if the Packers, the ball is really in Aaron Rodgers' court. If the Packers don't trade him, he can just retire. He can say, okay, and the Packers are already obligated to pay him. The way this contract is now set up is they have to pay him next year, no matter what. Next year is now fully guaranteed,
Yeah. I
and
think the only way
so.
Rodgers stays in Green Bay is if they win a
Mhm.
Super Bowl. If they're short of a Super Bowl, it's a I told you so, I'm out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree. If they win the Super Bowl, he might be like, okay, I'll come back to try to do one more.
Yeah, because he'll go, okay, our team's good enough, obviously, to win a Super Bowl. If you give me some more of the weapons I need, we'll obviously be able to get back there again, if not win it again. But we'd have to make our predictions, and we'll do that. in the next segment. In the next segment after the first preseason game, I think me and you should put who are our top 10 teams in the NFL
Okay.
going into. But I want one preseason game just to see where everybody's kind of at.
Sure. Well, we got the one this week, and then next week there's another preseason. We actually won't. Well, I won't be able to do an episode the following week. I'll be able to do it next week, but then the following week I'll be in Virginia Beach on my vacation.
Oh.
No, a family vacation, ready to drink some beers and well, talk football because that's what we do in my family.
So we should talk about the rumor of the Buffalo Bills coming to Austin, Texas.
Yeah. You messaged me about this. That's actually the first I had heard of it.
Right.
And I follow a lot of people on Twitter that are Bills fans just because, like, I just think their fan base is really cool. And man, I couldn't imagine these guys willingly in a tailgate in like negative 12-degree weather in August will jump through a table. Just hey, there's a table over here, and not like one of those WWE tables that are like pre-cut. Like this is jump off the top of an RV through a table on the freaking cement, and then just hop up like yeah.
Well, unfortunately, this is just about politics and money, really. At the end of the day, the same thing the Oakland Raiders went through. The Oakland Raiders fans obviously were fantastic, loyal, would fill up a stadium, had all the charisma and whatnot. But at the end of the day,
scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the stadium. Yeah, no, they did. They were, they remind me of
Right?
Legion of Doom, WWF, all of them.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, their stadium was crumbling, and the city refused to do it in Las Vegas. And Jerry Jones obviously got in the mix and said, "How about a brand new shiny stadium in a place that will totally appreciate you, both politically, economically, and fan wise?" And look, Austin, there are two cities in Texas that people have always said should get another team, and that's always been San Antonio and Austin.
Yeah. I actually figured San Antonio would get one before Austin.
Yeah. First of all, I don't even know. Personally, in Austin, I have no idea where they would build the stadium. I don't know where there's that much land. But they could do what Dallas did, and even though they're called the Dallas Cowboys Stadium is in Arlington, Texas. So Austin could very well build it right outside of Austin.
Now, my question is, I wonder, one, how much Jerry Jones had to do with when the Texans, were born. Would he be very supportive of the idea of another football team sort of dividing up the state?
I don't think so, personally. I think Texas, in my opinion, I don't want to be like California. I don't want to have a bunch of teams representing the state. To me, two's plenty. I personally am not a fan of the Buffalo Bills coming to Austin. And talk about a weather change for them. You'd go from
seriously
ice cold Game of Thrones style to basically the Sahara Desert in comparison of heat.
Yeah, all of a sudden, like that would talk about a culture shock.
Yeah,
especially like someone like a Josh Allen played his college football in Wyoming, and
then definitely be some thawing.
Yeah. He's going to walk up and like, I didn't know it could get this hot, like, ever, anywhere.
Let me see if this light helps me here.
Having some lighting issues?
Go on my phone, period.
Yeah. Computer problems, or is it just...
No, I'm just upstairs. I don't feel like going downstairs. Just straight up lazy now. Yeah.
Hey, look, I understand that. You're talking to the laziest dude alive.
Yep. Up here, I wasn't even sure I was going to do a show tonight because I wasn't feeling that good. But I was watching Narcos, and I was all wrapped up in the cocaine trade and whatnot. And then you decided to remind me that it's time to do a show.
I appreciate you coming on with me.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I eat $20, man. I might as well do something for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's what the $20 is worth. All right.
This is actually a very interesting week of football. You got the Bills comment going. You got the Rodgers returning. I watched Rodgers' press conference after his first practice. He was very forthcoming, to me, very direct, very honest, very candid about how he felt about the situation. He clearly is like, look, I'm here. We're going to do what we can do this year, but I'm clearly not happy with this organization. He basically painted the picture. I love my team. I can't stand the organization anymore.
Yeah, and ultimately, like when you're out there now, look, we don't have any idea what it's like to be professional, but when I'm at work, okay, when I'm thinking about, hey, I got to do a good job, I got to help people, like, I'm not thinking about I've got to do this for my boss. I'm thinking like I got to do this so like the other guy who did a lot of work to help this customer doesn't look bad. I've got to make
Yeah.
sure, and for my own self-preservation. Like once you get in there and you get in the midst of the season, like his relationship with the GM, I think is irrelevant. That only becomes relevant in the off season when it's like, do I want to come back? Like, and again, like I said, he could decide to retire and just basically get a nice middle finger up to the Green Bay Packers, and if they don't trade him to where he wants to go, or like, look, I saw something today about him and basically talking about like getting to talk with the GM, getting to talk with more of the Packers organization, and being able to see things from their perspective. And he seemed more open, like, but I still think at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers feels like this organization's never done enough to help him. Probably not from the start. We're making him sit behind Brett Favre and giving him that fiasco right at the beginning of his career, and all the way up until now, probably has never really felt like they've done enough for him. And
Yeah.
so I think this is
Well,
just an entire career of feeling this way, that it's not going to get erased even if they go win a Super Bowl. I think that's the only scenario where he stays. But I think even if they win one, he could still be like, hey, you know what, I'm still out.
I don't think he will personally if they win the Super Bowl. But what I will say is, I think the problem with the Green Bay Packers is they have approached this on a personal level with Aaron Rodgers about, we'll give you more money, we'll give you a contract extension, and he has turned it into a team issue of, we don't have the right team to win the Super Bowl. And I've been here X amount of time, and you've never given me things to win a Super Bowl. He goes, you want to get personal with me? Stop talking about money, stop talking about the politics of my contract, and start getting me players. He's basically turned into Tom Brady 2.0. The very similar complaints of Tom Brady on his way out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And the only difference there is you don't hear about the GM. You just heard about the head coach and Tom Brady's relationship, because essentially de facto, he is the GM over there in New England. Um, but it's just very, very interesting. I think for the first time, we're starting to see quarterbacks realize their power potential with the club. But and obviously Rodgers is unique. It's not like
Sure.
Tannehill could pull this off. But there's five quarterbacks in the league right now that I think can basically tell a team what to do, and then if they don't do it, they can basically say, as soon as my contract's up, I'm out. And you lose all that relationship and everything you built with that player for so long. But logically, this isn't really in Green Bay. Bees are a publicly owned shared company or a team, and that makes them a very
Mm-hmm.
different beast to deal with. There isn't like an owner and a GM you sit down with a room and you can work anything out. You've got to go through all these other people. And I think that is part of the problem. Green Bay looks at themselves as, well, we're bigger than the player. And essentially, any team can say that. The problem is, you're trying to win a Super Bowl now.
Sure. And I think that those are all valid points. I'm curious. You said you think there are five quarterbacks that could probably do that right now. Obviously, the two that are kind of doing it, Rodgers and Brady. I would assume I'd put Mahomes in that category as one of the other ones. Who would be your other two?
Lamar Jackson would
Okay.
probably be the other one right now. I think he has enough on the Ravens right now. The Ravens basically are nothing without him, technically.
Yeah.
And then the other would be Deshaun Watson, should he get out of his legal woes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you might be right about those five. And that brings me kind of to my
Yeah, well,
next
and
topic
we'll get to Deshaun Button in a minute, but
well, I wanted to touch more on a broader scale for the quarterbacks around the league. Which quarterbacks you feel like kind of on a hot seat this year? They really need to prove something, and could be like on the verge of whether or not they. I don't know about out of the league, but like, well, if you want, you could say they'd be out of the league. But guys who are really having to prove their starting
well, I wouldn't say
potential.
out of the league. we should talk about guys that, yeah. And I think we're in a stage where we're basically talking about quarterbacks who may lose their prestige as being
Mhm.
guaranteed to be the starter. I would say one will probably blow your mind because I know you're a fanatic and you pray to the statue of him probably at night. Who knows? But Murray on the Cardinals, I think he's done a great job being a quarterback, but he still hasn't shown that style that he's the guy that takes you over the hump and turns into a Super Bowl. I still don't see that in him. Um, I think Tua, he's not on the hot on a seat that's been questioned since he started. Is he the guy? And I think this year we're going to find
Sure.
out: is he a permanent solution for the Dolphins, or are they just going to go? You're a good experiment. We're moving.
Oh, I can't quite
Do we have
hear
a
you.
delay?
Okay. Oh, we have some technical issues here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Okay. So what's the last thing you said?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Kyler Murray was the last quarterback you were talking about. I definitely agree he needs to take that next step. Like I think he had an okay year last year. Um, but like again, like at the end of the season, it kind of started to fall apart for him. Like that loss in New England, like they had to beat the Patriots that day, and like that was a game to win to try to get into the playoffs. And that was really a big reason why they were at home playoff time. And so Kyler's got to step up and get over the hump this year, and he's got to prove that he's as good as I think he is.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah. No
agree
doubt.
with.
He's a star player.
Mhm. But
It's
it's
just
about
is
getting
he
to
the
that
player to
next
take?
level. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Another one that
And
I
I
didn't
think,
hear you
like I said,
mention.
I think
Yeah,
yeah. My
I
second one,
definitely would like the Tua
Tua,
one.
and Tua to me has been a little more of an experiment than a let's try him out for 4 years kind of guy. And to me, this year he's going to prove whether he's the guy to put in that spot or he held them tight while they looked for what they really needed.
Sure, and look, the Dolphins have really made no qualms about the fact that they'd be open to getting an upgraded quarterback. They've been linked in large part to Deshaun Watson, and so like that would make a ton of sense for me. Like if Tua steps up and becomes the guy that takes them out of the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, because at this point, I'd say it's pretty safe to assume Deshaun Watson isn't going anywhere right now. That Watson's best bet be on the Texans, have another good year, and hope to get traded in the offseason and have
Yeah,
these league
and if you're
wars
and
disappear. Maybe
yeah,
not go to any
and
massage
Butson's
parlors or anything.
yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, we have some pretty popular ones here in Houston. But if Butson's and people, if you're wondering why I'm calling him Butson, one of the reports of the allegations against him is that he asked someone to stick their finger in his butt multiple times, um, which was ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not. The fact is, I don't know a lot of people that would make that up. But um, let's say, let's say that he's able to settle all these cases at this point, being that he has more allegations against him than Governor Cuomo of New York has. Your only bet is to settle most of these to get them out of your way. Otherwise, let's say 11 of the people may crop up and one of them is right. Well, one of them will still sink you or at least get you to where you're not the Prince Charming you once were considered. And a lot of teams may stay away from you for future allegations. Who knows? I just know that he, at this point, it's pretty safe to say that his career has permanently been damaged at this
Oh
point,
yeah,
in my
they're going to be
opinion.
people who, no matter what happens now, are just going to be determined that that this is who he is, and there's enough smoke there to, for some in the public eye,
Yeah, and
to
I'm a
what's that? I'm having
yeah,
more
and I'm
issues.
very anti like an allegation becoming truth without proof. And to me, are we? Maybe I need to back out of this. Can you
Okay, yeah. Yeah, if you want, yeah, just go ahead and back out, and I'll try to bring you back on. Yeah, I think he brings up a lot of good points with, there's a lot of smoke there, and you just hope that if there isn't a fire, that, he's able to prove, like, it's almost, if that's the case, if he's innocent, then he needs to go to court and prove it there. Here, we can try this again.
Yeah, let's refresh it and see if we're any better.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just kind of echoing your thoughts on Deshaun Watson. It's just his best case scenario is to clear this all out during the course of this season, hopefully have a good season in Houston, and then try to get traded this offseason. And two teams that come to mind, one team you just mentioned as far as a team trying to figure out their quarterback situation. The other that, we're going to be talking about this team a lot because they're my squad, the Philadelphia Eagles, trying to figure out what they have in Jalen Hurts. And it's interesting. We look at Hurts, and you talk about it a lot with his ability to make plays with his feet, and how important you think that is for his.
I talk about him a lot because of his intangibles overall as a player.
Yeah, but like when we talk about the intangibles, as far as like being able to make plays when the play breaks down, his ability to be able to get out of the pocket and, if need be, take off for a first down, like that's important. And the one thing a quarterback who's able to run like that, what he's not doing? He's not throwing interceptions. Like if you look at the stats of the quarterbacks who would be considered running quarterbacks, they don't throw a ton of interceptions. You know why? That first read's not there. Okay, let me look off to my second read. The second read's not there. All right, I'm taking off. I'm picking up 5 to 10 yards with my legs. He's not like one of those stationary quarterbacks who's got to say, oh, well, let me make a throw here because that's all I can do is throw the football. I can't make a play with my legs. And for Eagles fans, not having the interception would be a lot better.
Yeah, I feel like Hurts is a balanced player. I feel like he gives you a little bit of everything, but he doesn't really excel at any of those one things completely. He's a dose of what the Eagles need. And I think I want to see, like anybody, let's see another year out of him. But if he has anywhere near the success he already had started here, that's enough to be a good quarterback for the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Chris, thanks for chiming in. Yeah, it's okay. We were a little late getting started, so it's all good. I think one of the things that a lot of people have commented on about Jalen Hurts, and again, being so close to it, being here in Philadelphia, I get to see a lot more of it, is they talk more about his leadership than even like any of the things he does on the field. His willingness to stay after practice. Yeah. His willingness to stay after practice, to get extra reps with guys, spending more time being that first guy in the film room and the last guy out. Like those are things that now look, and I'm not suggesting that there are any quarterbacks that I know that don't do that. But, the fact that I'm here and I'm seeing this out of Jalen Hurts, like that's important to me. And if he's going to develop and become the guy, then that's what they need to see. That's what it's going to take. If you want to succeed in the NFL, it's real simple. All it takes is everything you got. And you got to be willing to do that every day and not just on Sundays. And so far, like what I see out of Jalen Hurts, he's having a good camp. Had a couple of rough practices early on.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you. It's gonna go at the end of the day. How's he looking in practice for you guys right now?
First couple practices weren't so good, but he's been coming along better as camp has opened up. Apparently, I had a friend who was there, I believe, on Saturday at one of the training camp for Military Appreciation Day, and in fact, Ryan, the co-host of Football Smack Talk show, he was there and talked about how Jalen Hurts had looked good and how impressed he was with Hurts' progress. Yeah, we're having more technical difficulties with Landry.
No,
Hopefully we can.
I'm still here. I want
Okay.
to see if I minimize my video, if that makes anything better.
Yeah. Okay. We can try that.
Yeah, so I'm hearing audio.
Okay. Okay. You can hear audio fine. That's good. All right. So
Yeah,
I've got
can you
the
hear me?
quote up here. Can you read the quote that I have here from Chris? The
Yeah,
comment.
I can.
Okay.
For me, Hurts seems to be successful. I think the Eagles need
Yeah.
to run first, almost like the '90s with the Steelers and Cowboys. Run first down, run second down. Hopefully, it's 3rd and 2, and you can hit Hurts with a 3-yard hitch.
Yeah. Look, that would be a great scenario if they're able to do that. Now, I do think Sirianni, coming from the Colts, they were a real run first kind of offense. And so I think there's a good chance you see a lot of that. And you see multiple backs being used. Miles Sanders is going to, of course, get a ton of carries. Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell, like those guys are going to get touches. And then Kerryon Johnson or Jordan Howard, whoever ends up winning that last running back job. But I want to get into before we get too late into this, the Dallas. Well, you know what? Let's talk about injuries first before I get into Thursday night's game. Of course, Carson Wentz again suffered an injury, fracture to his foot, needed surgery. And by the way, I guess that's contagious because now Quentin Nelson had to have the same surgery on his foot for the Colts. And so great leadership there. Carson Wentz showing him how to make sure he gets surgery. But Carson out anywhere from anywhere from 5 weeks to I think it was 10 seasons. That's kind of the range they get. Now, 5 to 12 weeks for Carson Wentz. And that's a little concerning because the Eagles are very, they need Carson to play 75% of the snaps. Now, if it's in the 5-week range, that takes us right up to about like week 1 or 2. And fine, no problem. If it's on the longer end of that, Eagles are going to be in some trouble trying to get that. You might as well just settle into that's going to be a 2nd-round pick for the Eagles. And that would have me a little ticked off. The fact that you spent so much to get up and get Carson Wentz and then had to eat so much of a salary cap hit when you traded him. And then in the end, you don't even get a 1st-round pick out of it. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, look, I mean, we both said we couldn't believe the trade, the fact they got nothing for him, all that mumbo jumbo. And then in the end, I mean, you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at the bad trade value the Eagles got for him, or you can say, hey, the dude's injury prone, even on another team, apparently. Maybe we did ourselves a favor. It all depends how you want to look at it.
I don't like to use that term injury prone. Look, this is a physical game. Like, the only time you're ever healthy in the NFL is before your first game. And after that,
that's true.
Actually, common. Okay. So here we go. Yeah, Carson injury is actually common. I broke my foot, went to the doctor, and he said to me, "You re-broke your foot." I responded, "Well, when did I break it originally?" He says usually happens playing basketball or football. It's not serious until you re-break it.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
I'm glad I got a doctor on staff to explain the NFL knowledge that we're lacking. Chris, thanks for all the years you played in the NFL and your doctorate degree on that comment there.
Well, but I mean, it's very insightful. Hey, he re-broke his foot. Like, I'd actually love to hear the story of how you originally broke the foot. But
as long as it pertains to playing in the NFL, I'd love to hear Chris's NFL stories.
I'm sure Chris has got a lot of insight on the NFL. Chris is a great contributor to not only our show, but okay, so he re-broke it dancing. Okay, now I feel like we need to elaborate on this story.
Oh my God.
This is great.
He's like, I was
See,
quarterback
you
for the
asked the
Broncos,
story. You expected it to be an NFL
but at
story.
halftime, I was dancing with someone in the locker room and broke my foot. I get it now. It all makes sense.
Yeah, see? It all makes sense now. So anyway, like not only his injury, but Dak Prescott and his shoulder injury gonna keep him out for Thursday night. I would be really surprised if the plan had ever been for Dak to play in the first preseason game. I don't think Dak's gonna play at all in the preseason. Just because.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't foresee the Cowboys taking a risk like that. That would be pretty stupid. But if he does, it'd be the first half of the first game, and that's it.
This is the right answer. Sister's wedding, lots of alcohol. I feel like a lot of our stories, you and I, and probably Chris as well, and plenty of others, the story always begins and ends with that lots of alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. That's a good story, Chris. So yeah, I'll tell you, I hate to use the term injury prone, like you talked about with Carson Wentz. Again, I know he's had his share of injuries, but like guys get injured in the NFL.
Right, but when I say injury prone, it means more likely or at a higher rate than maybe other players. And here's the deal. You're a quarterback, you get touched less than anybody else, and you're stacking up injuries. That doesn't look good to me. Mahomes moves around more than the other player. He should have an ankle injury. But he doesn't.
Well, maybe it's like what my wife says. She thinks it all changed for Carson when he got married.
Yeah, it's just like you, man. You're probably the best guy I knew, and then you got married, and you got gray hair, got bitter, you drank all the time, you beat your wife. I was like, everything changed about you, man.
Hey, look,
your girlfriend. You're like, I love her.
Here's a great question.
He is considered injury prone to me. I don't know who says
he's missed 17 games in 2 seasons. To me, that's injury prone.
Yeah. That's the best paycheck I can get. Hey, I just started. Oh, my thumb hurts. I can't be a cash register guy. I'll be back in 17 weeks.
Dude, that sounds awesome. I wonder if I could do that. Nobody from
it does.
This, right?
In the NFL, being injured is almost like a blessing as long as you get paid.
Right? But I mean,
that's what,
you always know. Like if you're a player, you look over at those other guys, even though they're in the training room and it's legit. Like, you're looking at that guy being like, dude, we need you out here. Like, and there are some guys who sit back there and wait
and
until
it's very true that time off. It's very true that time off is a big deal. And the best evidence I ever saw of a player being different with time off as opposed to when they're on the field was Priest Holmes of the Kansas City Chiefs. That dude was on fire. He was like a running back like we hadn't seen. It's like overnight he had changed into a superstar. But once his injury took him down and he came back, he never played the same.
No, you're right. Never did. Another one that stands out to me, Terrell Davis.
Yeah, true. When he put those braces on his teeth, it was never the same.
Well, actually, it was once he took the braces off. Then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, what's going on here? It's like the braces.
Right. Maybe the braces made him feel like he had something to prove. Like, I'm not ugly. And then once he was actually better looking, he's like, I ain't got nothing to prove.
Well, I figured it was good that he was on the Broncos with those horse teeth.
You got him mixed up with Shannon Sharp.
That's right, yeah. I was thought Michael Strahan should have ended up there.
Yeah. Strahan. I remember when he did the April Fool's joke this year where he closed the gap in his hair. Everybody's like, oh my God. He's like, April Fool's, I'd never get rid of my gap. You can't get rid of your signature.
It's trademarked now.
Yeah. I personally, if I was him, I would never get rid of that. That's your signature look.
Yeah.
And the world's come a long way. Like, we all get past stuff now. And we look at stuff as like, it's a part of who you are. We don't look at it as like, dude, fix your teeth. They look stupid. We have a different outlook now.
Yeah. No, I agree. There was a time where I looked at that and said, man, like, dude, you're a millionaire. Why aren't you fix your teeth?
Yeah, but
But
that
now,
was before
yeah,
he was on
like when I
TV.
saw
But
that,
once you're on
like
TV, like people get used to seeing you a certain way. People appreciate being authentic. So
I completely agree with this comment here. Yeah, Davis is in the Hall of
so
Fame because of 2 great seasons. I mean, and they were phenomenal seasons. But yeah, you're right. It was just 2 years. I remember when he retired, I thought, no way is this guy a
you
Hall of
know how to
Famer.
solve that problem. You know how to solve. I was thinking about this. I was actually having this conversation with somebody. How to solve the problem of players that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. They should have Hall of Fame teams, like years of Hall of Fame, like the ever Bronco. That way, they can get included in that conversation about the team and success rather than the individual.
Oh, so like instead of saying
You know what I mean?
X player is a Hall of Famer,
Like
that team is a Hall of Fame team.
exactly, they should start having Hall of Fame teams, like years that a team's considered a Hall of Fame team.
But then would it just be whatever
Or
team
if
won
you
the
want to talk
Super
about in
Bowl that
dynasty
year?
terms, whatever. Yeah,
I think
sometimes, but there's some teams that actually have the best stats all year and lose the Super Bowl.
like the New England Patriots when they went undefeated.
Yeah, exactly. Like to me, that would
Yeah.
be a Hall of Fame team. That team did what no other teams were doing. They just happened to lose the Super Bowl, which they obviously, if they played a little bit different football or things going a different way, they still would have won that. So I've always thought, I've had this argument for a long time, and
Mhm.
I've never understood why we don't have Hall of Fame teams.
Yeah, well, you could do the same thing. You could still have the Hall of Fame players, obviously. But yeah, induct the team into the Hall of Fame. Like,
Yeah, no, right. But this is a way to get away from letting individuals become Hall of Fame players because of such a good team. Because individually, they're actually not that good.
well, and it would be a way of say rewarding rewarding the guys who helped. Like Terrell Davis had a great 2 seasons. How many of those offensive linemen are also in the Hall of Fame? But like those offensive linemen are the ones that created
Exactly.
that opportunity. And so many of the Hall of Fame players stand up there and say, well, really, it's because of these guys. Well, what if you sat there and said, okay, well, this guy's a Hall of Famer because of what everybody else did. So let's just put the whole team in as a unit. That'd be pretty
Yeah,
cool.
to me, the only Hall of Famers that should be in there are guys who year in, year out, over the course of 4 or 5 or more years, because players obviously change around them during that, or players that
Mhm.
go to other teams, like Randy Moss. No matter where that dude went, he was successful. That's a Hall of Fame player. That means his talent supersedes his situation. Period. He's that good of a player. Those are
Yeah.
Hall of Fame players. Deion Sanders, 49ers, Falcons, Cowboys, success no matter where he went. Hall of Fame
Mhm.
player.
So yeah, it sounds like what
Now,
you
I don't want
really
to
want
penalize
is
players.
to be stricter on the individual players, but include the idea of inducting a team. That's a cool idea.
Right. Right. And I don't want to, what I don't want to happen if they were to ever try that or look into that, or even from my own point of view, I don't want to see players that actually stay on the same team and are actually really good not become a Hall of Fame player because the team takes all the no. You can tell what players like John Elway. You can tell no matter what team he went, if he's a Bronco or not, he was going to be
Mhm.
good, even if he got put on another team.
Yeah, so like if
So
you put that 1998 Broncos team in the Hall of Fame, John Elway still gets his own individual Hall of Fame spot.
right,
Yeah, I agree.
right.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of other players. You could say
Mm-hmm.
Atwater. You could say, I forgot the defensive player. God, I'm thinking of this. I think it was a corner or safety. I mean, there's still a couple of
Champ
players
Bailey.
that I'm like, nah, they individually, yeah, Champ Bailey. They
Mm-hmm.
individually handled their own. There wasn't like backup. Like they handled their own and looked like a Hall of Fame player back there. But there are
Right.
clearly some positions that benefit off the hard work of others. I mean, Emmitt Smith's a good category. I don't know what Emmitt Smith would be like without the Cowboys offensive line. I know he would have been a great player. I don't know if he would have been a Hall of Fame player without the Cowboys offensive line.
Now I know we talked about putting teams in together. What about putting a unit together? Like you
Yeah,
said,
like a
like
line, like
Cowboys offensive
a set
line.
of linemen. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree with that too. Like
Or
there's
like
a
the
bunch
Legion of
of
Boom with the Seahawks.
yeah, you can do that. Now, I don't know if they'd want to do that. You might just want to say the defense and not just the defensive backs or the linebacker
Yeah.
core or whatever. So, I mean, if you want to dissect the team by side of the ball, like I think that
Mhm.
Hall of Fame offense, Hall of Fame defense, like I could do that.
Right. So that'd be fun. Wow. So like, just try and think about what units you would put into the Hall of Fame. Now, again, I'd have to say, and you know me, I'd have to go back and say that
Oh my God,
91
90 Eagles. We
defense.
go.
Yep, that
Yeah, right
defense
away.
would have to go into
It,
the Hall of Fame.
the one team that comes to mind right away, like that,
Hmm.
without a doubt, out of everything I'm watching football, there are two. There are two teams that right away I'm like you'd have to put them in. It'd be the
Hmm.
Cowboys offense of the 90s. They
Hmm.
had a good defense, but their offensive was a powerhouse. And it would be the defense of the 2000 Ravens
So,
automatically, without a
yeah,
doubt,
I
would be
would
my
say
two
the
top.
2000 Ravens defense.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a couple other defenses I think I would include in that. You know,
Oh
that
no, I
Bucks.
would. I mean, if someone said who's your top offensive Hall of Fame team and your top defensive Hall of Fame team, those would be my two immediates at the top of my list.
Who's your the Cowboys offense? So, and like the
Yeah, of the
greatest show
90s.
on turf. I think that would be another offensive group put in from the St. Louis
Yeah,
Rams.
yeah. You know,
It's a fun
I mean,
discussion.
obviously,
Like, it's a good discussion
yeah,
for Hall of Fame week.
we should. I mean, we could dedicate a whole segment to discussing that. We're already at 41 minutes here,
Yeah.
but I've always said, I'm with Deion Sanders when he complained about too many players are getting in the Hall of Fame,
Mm-hmm.
and I totally agree with that. I'm like, look, the Hall of Fame is
It's the
just
Hall of
something
Fame,
like if
not
you
the
have
Hall of Good.
a
Yeah.
good season, get in. Yeah, and that's not what I want. I want the Hall of, like, if John Madden said, hey, I'm going to put together two teams, a team A and a team B on offense, and team A. Those are the only guys that should be in the freaking Hall of Fame as a Hall of Fame player. Period.
Right.
It should be
No,
a
I agree
small
with you.
class group, and that should be it. And they should always take into, were you as good as you were as an individual without the same team? Like Joe Montana went to Kansas City, still looked like a pimp. I mean, obviously that's a Hall of Famer. But I don't think you should have to go to another team and prove yourself to be considered, but you should have to show on your own individual accolade that without the protection of your offensive line as a running back, you still were able to break tackles and get where you needed to get, even when you're out on your own. Stuff like that.
Yeah. No, hey, interesting stuff. Huh? Yeah, good ideas tonight. How about it? We lose you, the picture, instead the voice coming down, delivering such a strong message. Because
I know
maybe
it's
it's
funny.
the illness too.
I actually prefer just being audio. It's easier for me because I can chill out and kind of like, kind of think out loud and whatnot in my head. It's almost like I'm just thinking to myself talking right now. And
Mm-hmm.
on my life coach channel, actually, I do a lot of this. I have a lot of podcast sessions where it's just my voice talking. Some people actually prefer that. They can concentrate better on the information.
Yeah. I mean, I've been told I have the perfect face for radio, so I think I could.
Yeah, definitely. Like to me, you're the kind of guy, like, if I'm going to advertise, I'm going to put you on a nursing home or something.
Sure. Hey, look,
Not
and in my
retirement.
mind, Jay or Landry, this is the best you've ever looked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Everybody.
I totally agree, man. Like, I have a godlike appearance right now with my voice and everything. What's on your shirt? I've been trying to look at what is your symbol on your shirt? What is that?
It's just like a pirate skeleton thing. It's for the Outer Banks. I went there a few years ago.
Okay, I was just making sure you weren't going Tampa Bay. I was seeing a little
Oh
Tampa Bay over there
no.
going. I thought, you know what? You finally saw the light and you're going towards the goat. And I think that's a good idea for you.
Although I'll be honest with you, I would get one of those like creamsicle shirts or something. Like if it just had the old school Bucks emblem on it, like
Yeah.
like a creamsicle color. I would wear one of those. Those are pretty cool looking.
I remember playing Tap Ball and seeing the neon orange and white. I was like, dude, that's fucking disgusting. Get that shit off my screen. And the way their Patriots old symbol. Who's the other team that just looked like total trash? Let's see. We're going through teams.
I always thought Seattle's old uniforms looked terrible. Like the old ones that we grew up with.
Yeah, I'd have to go back. I don't really remember theirs. Right, I know it was white and silver. I believe.
And it had that weird color blue in there. It wasn't like a good royal blue, but it was like.
Yeah, now the Seahawks to me have the best uniforms in the league. They look
energetic,
futuristic.
They definitely compensated for the terrible uniforms of the 80s and early 90s.
They almost look like a giant "Just Do It" commercial constantly. But yeah, no, they look pretty good. They look pretty. Who else has the best uniform? Who else do I like? And it can be away or alternate. Obviously, I like the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys have a very clean look with their uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll skip them since it's my team. I can't. Kansas City's colors get on my nerves. I feel like I'm looking at mustard and ketchup the entire game. Yeah, I don't dig theirs. Redskins don't dig theirs. You know, what is Redskins? I think they proposed being the Warriors, and then they decided not to go with that. What was it? Didn't they pick a name?
No, they're still just the Washington football team.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous. WTF? Washington the football. That's what I say. What the fuck? Who else? Yeah, Tampa used to have. Tampa was probably the worst uniforms of anybody. Well, you know who I secretly like, who I think the colors are really cool, and I used to have. Ross Smith was a good player, man. I can see Ross Smith getting in there. One of the colors I really like. I used to have the Nikes, and there were Nike Turf. The Miami Dolphins. I had Nikes that were turquoise with a neon orange bubble and black and white.
See,
and my friends used to be like,
some of those uniforms are so outrageous.
I was like, no, these are just pimp.
Some of those uniforms are so outrageous. I actually start to think they look cool. Like the Dolphins uniforms,
they really look like an advertisement to go on a cruise. Like their whole team. They're like, hey, come with us, go on a tropical island and have a pina colada. Like they have that whole look. I used to like the Jaguars uniforms better in '95 than I do now. I don't like what they've done with them. The Broncos used to have ugly ass uniforms. But
I like the current.
Their upgrade was really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, much better. It was them, Tampa, and there's one other team I'm not thinking of. I know I didn't like the Patriots logo. I like their colors, but I never liked their logo back in the day. It looks stupid. I like their logo now much better. You know, we've moved more into a minimalist, simplistic look, like cleaner, more solid. Logos aren't, hand drawn looking anymore. They're basically just, clean cut, flat colors. But and I do like the Rams uniforms now. I like helmets now. That's pretty rad. But anyways.
Yeah, I like the Rams uniforms. Even the Rams white uniforms look really cool.
Yeah, the Rams have gone through like 3 different changes. You had their 90s ones, then you had their gold and blue during the 2000s, and then they moved to more of a yellow blue, like old school, just more of a cleaner, modern logo and look. The Rams have gone through more changes than anybody, I think, technically, uniform-wise.
Yeah, although I love the Chargers. I've always loved all the Charger uniforms.
I like the Chargers baby blue and yellow. Those are pretty cool, but their other colors to me just look like your front office doesn't care about you.
I was going to say, wait, are we actually going to hear Landry say something positive about the Chargers?
If I do say something positive, I will make sure to always follow it up with something bad.
That's good. It's good to stay consistent. Well, you know what? We've been going at this 40 minutes. I think it's time to call the show. Any thoughts for tomorrow night's game, Steelers, Cowboys? I mean, it's probably just going to be a bunch of backups playing the whole time, but.
Yeah, look, the Cowboys have never been good during preseason. I don't know why. They just have a shitty I don't think they really care about their record in preseason, so I don't think that's why it's really just tryouts. But it's first of all, preseason gets on my nerves, even though it's football. I just find it like pointless. I'd rather see a bunch of serial killers put in like a 5x4 square on pay-per-view and just duke it out than watch a preseason game. But I watch because I'm so desperate to see something football that I tune in.
But hold on, I want to go. I want to circle back.
I don't see.
Way to bury the lead there. Like that is a great idea.
Yeah,
putting prisoners of death row like a.
I have more. I'm more excited to watch Hard Knocks than I am preseason. I just feel like I've really never seen preseason tell me much except for 1 year when Zeke and Dak were on the Cowboys. Are the only year preseason for the Cowboys we ever went. Wow, who are those dudes?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I'm assuming this is Ryan putting this up here. Where's Landry? We were having some technical issues, so we just the audio. Personally, I think he's never looked better, but that's just me. Yeah, you know what? I'm
Yeah, look,
really
Ryan, I'm the voice of
Hard
God
Knocks.
on this show. You need to calm down, go back to your wife, do all those things that you're supposed to do so we can get on with the show.
um, I'm really excited to watch it. Anybody know when it becomes available on the HBO app, the HBO Max?
I think
Because I
okay,
don't
so
actually
I
have.
believe the show is live on Tuesdays, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe it's available on HBO Max on Thursdays.
Okay, so I'll always be.
So it's
I'll
a
be
couple
watching.
of days later. Yeah, and of course, you know me, I'll have them all downloaded for keepers. Like I have all the shows ever made.
Yeah.
All the. In fact, I went back and looked. I even have the 2002 Jaguars before it was called Hard Knocks with Del Rio as the head coach.
Wow. So they had two.
Yeah.
What did they call it then?
I'd have to look. I'd have to jump off. Actually, you know
Mhm.
what? I can look right now. Let me see what it's called. I probably named it Hard Knocks because that's basically what it was before it. Let me look real quick. Hard
Okay.
Knocks, where you at? There you are. It was called. So 2000. Oh yeah, I got a couple of them. So before 2007 was the first official. 2006
Mhm.
2007 season was the first official serving Kansas City Chiefs. Before then, I think it was just called like the NFL Network like preseason or something. It was the Baltimore Ravens in 2001, the Dallas Cowboys in 2002, and the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2004. That was before it was named Hard Knocks, the 3 seasons they did. My favorite one out of all those, actually, that I found really entertaining, I'll go with two of them. It was the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. Or, I'm sorry, the New York Jets and the Cincinnati Bengals. Those are my two favorite Hard Knocks so far.
Okay.
There was just a lot of interesting drama going on with the teams back then. New York Jets
Mhm.
had Rex Ryan, which obviously he cussed up a storm. I couldn't even hear what the hell they were saying on the show because the F word got dropped so many times. And if it wasn't the F word, they'd be talking about something, and Rex was digging through like an M&M bowl, so I couldn't hear what the hell he was saying then either. Um, but that was a really interesting season. It really let me know that the Jets are junk and that their only Woody is a hippie, and they're never going to be good because of him. And then I found the Cincinnati Bengals really interesting. Their front office is very boring, and they're so conservative that it seems like they're never going to change. And I learned a lot about their coach at the time. Obviously, it's not there anymore, Lewis. But
Yeah, Marvin Lewis. Yeah.
they actually coached a pretty good football team. He did a lot for a team that didn't have high expectations, and Ocho Cinco was on there, during that time period. And so, those are my two favorite seasons. I think that is 2009 and 13 were the Bengals, and the Jets were 2010. Since then, it's been kind of hit or miss. The Atlanta Falcons was the worst. The Houston Texans was okay. LA Rams was boring. Tampa Bay Buccaneers of 2017 carries more weight now if I go back and watch it.
Sure.
Cleveland Browns, which was a weird season because obviously they cut their coach the next year. The Oakland Raiders, honestly, I barely even remember them other than Antonio Brown showing up with cracked feet. That's the only thing I even remember about that one anymore. You got going back Miami Dolphins 2012. I forgot the coach's name back then, but his son had died during that season, so that
Oh,
was
right.
what made that a little more. And that's also when Ocho Cinco got blamed for domestic violence and was cut from the team, so that made that season interesting too. But past that, man, I mean, from from 2010, I don't think Hard Knocks has really done a good job like they had done for a while. So we'll see what we get with the Cowboys this year. Last year, doing the Chargers and the Rams was boring.
I feel like
I
they were
rather
just
them
trying to do
focus.
too much by doing two teams.
Yeah, I feel like they stretched themselves thin. I feel like
Mhm.
half of the seasons were covered in COVID crap. I mean, I would like to watch something and not hear about freaking COVID anymore.
That and the the social justice stuff.
Yeah, and apparently the league is be real big on um, going with that, they said they're even going to allow the Black national anthem, which I think is going to burn a ton of viewers off watching football. I think that's stupid if they do that. We'll see.
I was unaware
There is no
songs
official.
had racial, had races, but okay. I learned something.
Yeah. Look, politics, sports, it could eat up 5 segments probably total. So I'll stay away from that from now and keep it about preseason and Hard Knocks right now.
Yeah.
But the next time we talk, I think we'll be through our first episode of Hard Knocks. I think we should be.
Yeah. Next week I won't have watched it yet, but you will have because mine won't be available till next Thursday.
Yeah. So I'm gonna watch it live for sure.
Yeah. Well, all right. I think that's going to do it tonight. So, yeah, you know what? Next week we'll let you give your first real look at Hard Knocks, and we'll let you give that interpretation. So, nothing else. Everybody, make sure to check out all the different podcasts on Philly Sports Alliance. Sorry, a lot for me to say there. Check out all the podcasts. We got the Monday nights, of course, the Football Smack Talk show with myself and Ryan. Tuesday nights, I think I've got this banner here that I can put up. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, there's my show banner. That's the whole Philly Sports Alliance, the plethora of shows, the whole lineup here. So Wednesday nights, of course, the Bald Eagle was on here earlier before us. Now we've got Mike Sports. Tomorrow night, Tendy's on Pattison. Great flyer show. Anybody interested in talking hockey? And, of course, myself and T, 7 o'clock, we bring you the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs podcast. So be sure to follow us on all the social medias and the like. Yeah. Basically, if the internet, for our show anyway, for us and for everything on the Philly Sports Alliance, if it asks you to do it, you should just blindly follow. I think that's just a good rule to just blindly follow.
Yeah, just think about it like, you're on roids, and you're just destroying everything in a blind rage. Just go with it. Go with your instinct. Stop thinking it through.
Exactly. No need for thoughts.
Exactly. There's nothing roids can't solve. That's my message, my motto for the kids. Sleep tight.
All right. Everybody have a great night and happy football.
Peace.